built on a simple but powerful conviction that the strategies shaping our sector must be shaped by us together. Every voice in this room matters, every perspective you bring as aligned to the blueprint. And this also aligns very well with the spirit captured in our theme, which is your voice blueprints our strategic direction. Over the course of the session, you will hear directly from FASSET. The leadership is here with me. I'm not here by myself. We will get direction of where we are going, and how we plan to get there. And like I said in the beginning, together. We have a focus program today, which will include the people that have joined me today in the room. I am joined today by the FASSET CEO, Ms. Ayanda Mafulega, also the FASSET CIO, Mr. Marabongwe Siziba, and our two program managers, Ms. Mamaroti Matibe and Mr. Kuligani Koza. We will open for questions at the end to ensure that all your clarities that you seek are answered to. So please, as the presentation takes place, if there are some gaps that you would like to be filled in for you, please ensure to note your question in the chat box. We also want to know how the session was for you at the end, so we will be sharing a survey to ensure that we get feedback from yourselves to know that the information that we shared was accurate and also valuable for you to ensure that you're able to partner with FASSET in the near future. Now, to get straight into the business of the day, I would like to introduce our first presenter, which is our CEO, Ms. Ayanda Mafulega. Her leadership and vision over the past 5 years has been quite instrumental in FASSET, steering towards a more evolving skills landscape. And we have our performance that speaks for itself. We also have our audit outcomes that speaks straight into the successes of the past 5 years. And now leading us into the next 5 years, which will be a journey towards 2030, she will take us through the strategic direction underpinning FASSET's 5-year plan, the annual performance plan priorities for 2026, and also give a highlight of the financials. Thereafter, she will be followed by Ms. Mamaroti Matibe, who will give a layout of the planned programs. Once again, please join me in welcoming to the floor, or rather to the virtual floor, the FASSET CEO, Ms. Ayanda Mafulega.
Hey, thank you, Program Director. That is your new title for today. A warm welcome. Good morning to all the stakeholders, the FASSET stakeholders that are joining us from various provinces. Good morning to our beneficiaries and everyone that have taken time to participate in today's engagement. So it is an honor and a privilege to welcome all of you to the FASSET Virtual CEO Roadshow. I must say that your presence here reflects your continued commitment to skills development, transformation, and economic growth within the FASSET sector. So this roadshow is an important platform for engagement, collaboration, and just reinforcing our strategic direction and strategic alignment. So, ladies and gentlemen, the theme for this year's roadshow is your voice blueprints our strategic direction. So it is a strategic call to action. It is an invitation for stakeholders to actively contribute towards shaping FASSET 2026-2027 strategic implementation of its priorities. So as FASSET, we recognize that we cannot implement our strategies successfully without you in isolation and without any collaboration. So really, we cannot transform the FASSET sector without your collaboration. And we cannot create any meaningful impact without strong stakeholder partnerships. So your voice does matter. Your participation matters today, and your contribution will help us shape the future direction of the sector. So allow me just to then take you through briefly why we exist and what FASSET priorities that are linked to the national priorities. So you are aware that South Africa continues to face a significant social economic challenges, including high unemployment, poverty, inequality, and rapid technological disruptions. The medium-term development plan up to 2029 therefore prioritizes inclusive growth and job creation, increasing employment opportunities, improving governance, reducing poverty, and building a capable developmental state. So as FASSET, our responsibility is to ensure that the sector FASSET sector contributes meaningfully towards these national priorities. So our programs must create pathways into employment and economic participation. So the strategic priorities for 2026 has been approved and shaped by the board. In the main, transformation will remain central to our mandate and the board priorities. So we do have 7 board priorities that are coming from the previous first term of the NDP and the NSDP. Now we are in the last leg of the NSDP, which is the National Skills Development Plan. But I'm just going to cite 2 priorities that I just want to hammer on, and that will be our sharp focus, because this year we are focusing on impactful implementation of our programs. So as I've said, transformation will remain central to our mandate. We remain committed to increasing participation for young people, youth, women, persons with disabilities, rural communities, and historically disadvantaged individuals within the finance and accounting sector. So I want to emphasize on persons with disabilities that we will be placing a sharp focus in the funding of those programs. I think for the past 5 years, we have been sitting at about 4%, of all our beneficiaries that have benefited through our skills development interventions. Now we want to scale up, those programs that will accommodate persons with disabilities. So please, as stakeholders, those that want to participate, please make sure that you prioritize persons with disabilities. Our second major priority is strengthening stakeholder engagement and partnerships. This includes partnerships with universities, TVET colleges, all 50 public TVET colleges. We have partnered with them. We have MOUs. We have MOUs also with all 26 public universities, CET colleges, all 9 of them across 9 provinces. We are also focusing and strengthening partnerships with government departments and government entities, organized labor, and critically, all FASSET sector employers. Sector employers remain critical to the success of our mandate because they help provide workplace exposure, internships, and experiential learning opportunities for learners. This is why we continue to encourage employers to actively participate in workplace learning and sector planning. We have also one of the program managers will touch on and unpack the nuances of each program that we have approved for our annual performance plan 26-27, and the new one also speaks to the exposure to the industry of the TVET lecturers. So it's not only that you are focusing on learners, but also on the lecturers as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I also just want to emphasize that our sharp focus will also be in ensuring that our employers, they participate by submitting their work skills Workplace Skills Plan, WSP, and ATRs, we have identified with concern that WSP submissions is declining for certain provinces. So the team will answer questions to assist. Yes, we have passed the deadline of 30th of April for this year's 2026-27 submission of the WSP, but it remains one of our areas of concern with the declining submission of the WSP. Our CIO will further unpack the new system that we are rolling out that will assist in reducing any previous inefficiencies around the process of submission of the WSP. So I therefore want to strongly encourage employers across the sector to submit quality WSPs and actively participate in our mandatory grant program. So your submissions directly influence the sector planning, funding priorities, and future interventions. We fund what the sector wants us to fund. So could only be the employers in our sector that will give us that information. FASSET's strategic implementation remains aligned to the National Skills Development Plan 2030. So our programs also this year will focus on linking education and the workplace, improving workforce skills, supporting entrepreneurship, increasing occupational programs access, and supporting public colleges and strengthening career development services. So for 2026-27 financial year, we continue to expand and scale up, and with the purpose to impact on bursaries. So we'll continue to scale up on bursaries, internships, learnerships, workplace placements, professional body programs, entrepreneurship support, digital skills training. So the program manager will zoom on this as well, around digital skills training, because it's gonna becomes a part of our sharp focus in this current financial year, as well as jet skills, just energy transition, because that has become one of the national priorities. And we'll also be rolling out rural development initiatives, because we're taking FASSET to the people. Importantly, though, stakeholders, our implementation targets remained focused on transformation. For example, we are focusing on our target is actually have 85% Black African beneficiaries or being benefiting from our programs. Among those, 54% must be women, and we can even take it up to 60%. As I've said, we want to exceed the 4% persons with disability target. So we call upon relevant stakeholders to assist us in this. And obviously, our programs we are targeting 80% to be young people, youth, participation. Obviously, we will be rolling out the lifelong learning. That one has no age restriction. So even our programs really don't have any age restrictions. But we are focusing, the majority of the participation must be young people. So collaboration then will remain central to our implementation approach. We'll continue to strengthen partnerships with universities, as I've said, sector employers, provincial and national government, and provincial skills development forums across the country. We are already participating actively and fully with certain provincial skills development forums in certain provinces, and will really want to activate and participate in all of the 9 provinces. So really, because these partnerships are helping us localize implementation and improve access to opportunities, especially with rural and underserved communities. So as FASSET, we remain committed to ensuring that rural communities are not left behind in the skills development agenda. So we are also encouraged by the innovative programs that are emerging from different provinces, particularly initiative focus on STEM participation, but I was corrected. It's not only STEM, it's STEAM, participation, digital skills, entrepreneurship, and youth empowerment. So PM will talk to to other emerging skills that the sector have said to us that these are the skills that they want. So the finance sector is indeed changing rapidly. Artificial intelligence, automation, cybersecurity, cloud computing, and the likes, they are reshaping the future of work. So as FASSET, we are responding proactively to these changes. So emerging occupations within our sector now include artificial intelligence specialist, data analyst, ICT security specialist, cloud architects, fintech specialist, and ESG and sustainability professionals. So we have got this data and this information from the sector during the SSP process. SSP is sectoral skills plan. So this means that our institutions, our employers and learners must prepare for a digitally enabled economy. Ladies and gentlemen, as I come to a close, I just want to assure you that governance at FASSET is stabilized. We now have a fully constituted and fully functional board providing strategic oversight and governance leadership. In addition, the appointment of the CEO until March 2030 provides long-term leadership stability, continuity, and strategic focus. So this stability positions FASSET to focus decisively on implementation and impact. So our financial outlook as well demonstrate organizational sustainability and growth. FASSET's budget continue to grow steadily year on year, with projected revenues increasing from over 1 billion 2026-2027. So that is what we are projecting, that our revenue will hit the 1 billion mark in this current financial year. And we are projecting that approximately it will hit a 1.2 billion by 2028-2029 financial year. So importantly, FASSET has achieved also a clean audit for 4 consecutive years. So this reflects strong governance, accountability, improved internal controls, and responsible stewardship of public resources. Ladies and gentlemen, as part of this engagement, we are not just here to talk to you, but we are here to engage with you and listen, to you and take the mandate from you as we are rolling out our skills development interventions for this current financial year. Allow me to acknowledge some of the implementation challenges that we have experienced, that has been experienced by our stakeholders, particularly our learners, as a result of delays in stipend payments. We have seen, the frustration, and we acknowledge, those delays in stipend payments that have been experienced by learners in certain programs. We fully understand the frustration and hardship this creates for learners, the host employers, their families. As leadership of FASSET, we are actively working to strengthen operational efficiency, improve turnaround times, strengthening monitoring processes, and improve coordination with implementation partners to minimize these delays, these unnecessary frustrations. So we do appreciate the patience and continued partnership of stakeholders as we work collectively to improve the learner experience and strengthening our program delivery. So the future of our sector will be built through partnerships, collaborations, and shared accountability. Today's engagement is not the end of a conversation. It is the beginning of stronger collaboration and stronger implementation. Thank you to all stakeholders across the country for your continued partnership and participation. I want to leave you with this thought. When institutions, employers, government entities, communities, move together with a shared purpose, transformation becomes inevitable. Together, we can take the FASSET sector and South Africa's skills development landscape to another level. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, CEO, for those, I think, parting words. I think the shared purpose is a point that we all need to reiterate and stick to, because that shared purpose has an impact on the national priorities. It has the impact on the outcomes that we get to share with the country at the end of the financial year, in relation to our performance, in relation to the impact of our beneficiaries, and in relation to governance as well. So without wasting any time, I will call upon to Ms. Mamaroti Matibe, who will then get into how you can actually be part of this shared purpose and also share your recommendations of the implementation of our programs. So Ms. Mamaroti Matibe, our program manager, will then share a much more in-depth presentation on our programs and planned activities.
All right, thank you so much, Program Director, and good morning. I'm just going to take you through the implementation strategy of the strategy that and the priorities that the CEO has actually touched on, starting with the programs that will assist us in terms of practicalizing the priorities that she was speaking about. So in total, we've got four programs. Program one, which is the administration, that deals with the governance and compliance within the organization. Program two, which is our skills planning, where our research is actually conducted, which informs program three, where our learning programs and projects are actually designed, resulting in program four, which basically touches on the quality assurance of the interventions that we actually implement. Now, in relation to the APP, we are going to focus on program three. This is the area where we are actually implementing our main mandate within the organization. So in total, we've got 43 indicators, or should I say 43 targets that we will be looking into. And then our indicators basically starts from our high school learners to TVET colleges, universities, your professional bodies, as well as work placement. So our programs covers both our employed as well as our unemployed learners. So I'm just going to touch on the two additional programs that we've added or indicators. The first one, the CEO has already touched on it, which is the number of TVET lecturers exposed to the industry through the skills program. Annually, this is one of the new targets that were brought in the current financial year. The second one was to just ensure that we accelerate our elementary skills within the organization in terms of the interventions that we implement, which speaks to the percentage of the discretionary grants budget allocated at developing elementary skills annually. So the next slide, we will be touching on the skills gaps or shortages, and noting that all our programs is in relation to responding to the outcome of the skills gaps that will have been identified. These are basically the soft skills that have been identified within the sector. And these particular skills gaps have been categorized between your senior level management as well as junior management, including our new entrants to the sector, which will be our graduates at this point. So these are the different skills gaps, or should I say soft skills gaps, that have been identified within the sector that we will then be concentrating on through our lifelong learning programs. The next one is just to highlight our top 10 sectoral priority occupations and intervention list. And you will note that in terms of the sequence, it has changed a little bit. And then the first one is in relation to our tax professionals. The second one, speaking to the financial accountant. The third one, the finance manager. These are some of the skills gaps that have always been there, including the external auditor. But with these three new occupations that have been identified in the current financial year, that speaks to your compliance officer, your financial analyst, as well as the last one, which is the learning and development manager. So these are the new ones that have been brought in relation to the current financial year. This slide basically highlights the emerging occupations that have been identified within the sector. The CEO has already mentioned some of them. These are the ones that we really need to prepare ourselves in, meaning that the programs that we are designing, we are not only going to focus on the top 10. These are the areas that we will also look into in the current financial year, which is already indicated. I'm not going to mention them again, noting that the COO has already touched on these particular emerging skills. Now, in relation to the implementation model, we have actually identified 3 ways in terms of how we plan to implement. The first one is to adopt the district development model. This is to ensure that we actually align our skills development initiatives to the economic activities of the different districts within the country. This will ensure that we are able to respond appropriately in relation to those particular skills aligned to the IDPs of the municipalities or district municipalities. So that's why we have resolved, which is one of the areas that we are supporting the national priorities in terms of how we have actually need to develop our country. So the next one is in relation to partnership and collaboration. The CEO has already spoken about that. The key sentence is, we cannot implement without you. Your voice matters. So what do we need from our employers? Is our employers to actually submit their WSPs. Remember, for us to be able to identify the skills gaps that we have been listing, we need the voice of our sector to be able to assist us to ensure that we will actually concentrate on the right platforms. So the other areas is for our employers to actually open doors for our interns, our graduates, or any other unemployed youth that will require exposure to the sector. We also require collaboration in relation to providing career guidance and awareness in targeting specifically our youth in different parts of the country. We also need our sector to assist us to ensure that we do have a pool of subject matter experts, especially in relation to when we are transitioning to the occupational qualifications. This is the area where we still lack number of subject matter experts to support us to ensure that the occupational qualifications are actually implemented. We need collaboration with the higher learning institutions, especially in ensuring that we align our curriculum with the needs of the sector as outlined already in terms of our skills gaps. So we also need other stakeholders that are critical to ensure that we speak to the areas that the CEO has already spoken about, being the rural development as well as the entrepreneurship components. Now, the other strategic implementation focus is in relation to the areas that we really feel strongly around as an organization, is in relation to digital transformation. Entrepreneurship is one of the areas that we will really be accelerating. We need partnership to ensure that we actually ensure that the program that we design in relation to entrepreneurship makes the business to become sustainable. So we need to really work together in relation to this particular area. The other area is in relation to gender-based violence initiatives, and we know very well that this is one area that is a national crisis that we'll also need to look into, especially in the rural areas or historically disadvantaged individuals. This is the area that we need to focus on, as well as the just energy transition, which is part of the national priorities as well from our side. Now, the question is, how do we then get access to the grants? There are some elements that we've already spoken about in terms of partnership and collaboration. The other area is in relation to the DG window. And this is basically the process that we undertake in terms of ensuring that we do allocate grants to our employers or partners that are going to assist us in terms of facilitation of our programs. So the first one is when you apply the DG grant, you apply for the discretionary grants, you need to go through the grants evaluation committee that is subjected for due diligence as well, where the grant adjudication committee later on will then evaluate the work that would have been completed by the evaluation committee, supported by the due diligence process that will then assist them in terms of the recommendation for the CEO to approve the applications that would have been successful. Now, in terms of the planned dates for the opening of window, we know that we are currently towards the end of May, but we were hoping that once the last CEO Roadshow is completed, we will then be able to start opening a window, and those are the dates that we are actually looking into for the current financial year. The next step now in terms of the presentation is to concentrate on the QCT qualification realignment. In the current financial year, we know that there are a number of qualifications that are coming to an end on the 30th of June. And then we are moving away from the legacy qualifications and we are transitioning to the occupational qualifications. So that particular process is currently underway. The assessor and moderator accreditation process is no longer being done with FASSET, and there is a new process that needs to go through the QC2O process. Now, in relation to this new qualifications or the realignment, currently as FASSET, we are sitting with 11 qualifications that have been registered with SAQA that would have went through the process of the reviews of the qualification, including adding new qualifications within the sector. Those are the new qualifications that we have registered with SAQA. There are 11 in total. So this particular slide just speaks to the accreditation process, ensuring that you actually get yourself accredited for the qualifications that we have just highlighted in the previous slide. So the process is that you need to go through the QCTO process. This is the first step when you apply for accreditation, and you will know that previously the accreditation used to go through the CETAs. That has since amended. The application go through the QC2O. The QC2O will then perform their own desktop evaluation process, which they will then request the relevant CETA. In this case, it will be FASSET, where they are requested to perform a site visit, and upon producing the site visit report, it gets submitted to QC2O, where they will then make a decision whether they are approving the accreditation or not. So this is the new process that is being followed. Should there be any stakeholder that requires capacitation in relation to this particular process, please do reach out to us and we will assist you in terms of the new process. So as already indicated, some of the qualifications are still currently under review, where we've got 15 qualifications that we are busy with, and then we are hoping that by the end of the financial year we will be done with these particular qualifications. We also have 4 more skills programs that are currently under development. So you will know that previously FASSET, we didn't have any skills programs in relation to our qualifications, and in the current financial year or through this particular process, there are 4 skills programs that have been identified and currently under development. That will then bring me to the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Matibe, the program manager. And I'm going to assume that I'm sure the questions now are starting to boil up in your head. So please do share them in the chat box so that we are able to respond to them later on in the session after all the presentations have gone through. So we now move to a segment that is increasingly at the heart of everything we do, technology as well as digital transformation. Finance and accounting professionals operate in a world being reshaped by artificial intelligence, cybersecurity demands, and integrated digital systems. FASSET is not standing on the sidelines. We are actively working to equip our sector for this particular future. So to walk us through our ICT priorities, the ILMS system, as well as the Atang Legacy app, amongst many other updates in relation to ICT, is our FASSET CIO, Mr. Marabongwe Siziba.
Thank you, Program Director, and good still morning. Good morning to our stakeholders. And I think I want to start this engagement by just quoting what Harvard Business Review said around issues of AI. They said AI won't replace humans, but humans with AI will replace humans without AI. So clearly the myth of that AI is here to take people's jobs is not correct. But I think the faster we move to understand AI literacy at the personal level and also professional in terms of what we do as a sector, it has everything to do with the pace at which we move with adopting AI. It's the same thing that is happening with our sector, because the accounting sector is really transforming when it comes to issues of AI and also machine learning particularly. Typical examples, I mean, already there are tools that are available in the market. Of course, European countries, they do adopt them. Automation of repetitive tasks. I mean, bookkeeping, there's a software already, AI tools that's called QuickBook, that it takes all the bookkeeping or repetitive tasks, your invoice reconciliation and all those kind of issues. Then the algorithms that are running in that particular tool already, they do the work that would have done by a bookkeeper. So what it means, according to that code, it means that humans with AI, they're starting to work a little bit smarter, so that the time that they have, they use it for other strategic, processes and analyzing and also verifying the output that is produced by AI. So already it's happening in some of the countries. I know we are slow adopters in South Africa, and the fact that we're still battling to have a framework now, but I think we're slowly getting to also adopting AI so that it transforms our own processes as well. And then other opportunities, of course, it's predictive analytics and also financial forecasting. Analytics already now, machine learning does have some algorithms that when deployed correctly can be able then to detect some of the frauds. It's proactive detection. I think that's what's quite important, because most of the time when you talk about fraud issues, it's more audits that happen after the fact, of which the damage already has happened. But with machine learning and algorithms around that, skilling our accountants and our finance people to understand how these algorithms work, it then equips them to be able then to deploy such algorithms so that we can trap and trace such fraudulent activities prior, or they flag them through machine learning algorithms. And then one other important thing in the sector specifically is personalized client experiences. I mean, you've seen that there's a move now in the finance and accounting sector around, say, virtual assistance or customer experience. You get to set some website, I mean, the big corporates already within the sector, that if you log on to a particular website, you engage with a chatbot, you get a full end-to-end experience in terms of your profile. Either it's investment or whatever. Some people can even withdraw investments without interacting with a human being. So those are kind of things that I think within the sector they are starting to move, and it's some of the skills that really will require to move in that direction. And then lastly, what I will highlight is the balance between human expertise with AI. Again, when we speak AI or machine learning, we're talking about a companion. I think the Harvard quote is very clear there. AI is a companion to humans. They coexist. So when we get the skills in terms of what we require from AI, we use AI to do so. But of course, there is a balance between the two. Typical example, some algorithms and some probing that we do when we engage with these large language models, right? They give us information sometimes that might not be correct. And that's where the human expertise and with the AI get into involved. But we still have to be human in the loop, by reviewing and also getting seeing that the results that we're getting from whatever that we are probing these tools, many of them, that they give us a credible information that is free from biasness and also ethical issues that would be problematic. Remember that AI doesn't know any ethics, is not trained, but it's humans that are trained then to review the outcome of what is coming from what the AI does. So we've seen that the trends are saying that the accounting sector or the FAS sector on its own, AI and machine learning specifically, remember there's others, there's robotics, there's IoT, but what works mostly with us is AI and machine learning, and there are case studies already. As I say that, I mean, European countries already started to adopt that, so we want to adapt ourselves as well to see how do we then get, partnerships in getting the skills that are required by the sector so that we transform the current workforce that we have now to start adopting and then consuming these skills that will make our life easier and also conform to what's happening in the industry. Now they say, tell them what you are going to tell them what you told them. You'll see that this slide is the third time that is appearing now in the presentation. CEO spoke about it, and Ms. Matibe spoke about it, and it's appearing again, although I'm not going to repeat that. The skills have been identified already that are required by the sector, and I think it's one of the contributions that are expected from the FA sector, that we start transforming our own people to be able to be savvy in those particular skills so that we move with what the sector requires. Now, what we do from a digital transformation strategy perspective, because it's not going to help to talk about what's happening in a sector when internally, as an organization, we're not transforming or keeping up with the pace of how emerging technologies are moving. So part of what we are looking at is looking at our vision, whether it conforms to what we are trying to do. We're clear that our mandate is to achieve world-class finance and accounting skills. How do we do that? We want to harness the power of digital technologies to innovate, scale, and lead in that particular achievement. And I want to highlight the word scale there particularly because the reality of the matter is that I said we are not adopting AI at the pace at which we would expect, and for obvious reasons. There are certain basic things that need to be correct when you adopt AI. One of them is data. Without proper data sources and the data that can be trusted, then of course the AI will produce information that is not useful. So the fundamental building blocks of what we are doing organizationally, then it takes us to the vision that we require. That is why we talk about scaling. So every time we come to our stakeholders, we need to show that the needle is moving from where we spoke to you last time, was we made some commitments, and we'll share now what we've achieved on that. But as we continue over the years, we need to start moving the needle as we scale our implementation so that we respond to what is required. What's important for us is then the collection and processing and management, storage and security of the data that we collect. Remember, the data that we collect is your data, our client's data, but we've got regulations that we need to comply with. POPIA is one of them. Many other data privacy rules, cybersecurity. The more we get into technology space, the more we attract bad actors. So cybersecurity is one of our priorities as well, to ensure that we protect the data assets that really belong to our stakeholders. Part of what we are prioritizing is the integrated end-to-end learner management system. We spoke about it last time. We said we are piloting it, but in the next slide then I will share what we've done so far and how we're going to be scaling into that particular approach. So in this particular round that ended the 30th of April of WSP ATR submissions, so we have adopted the integrated learner management system that we spoke about last year. But the adoption was limited to large employers because it was a pilot. I think they were overtaken by events there, but because we know that the complexity of the submissions around large employers, so we then prioritize them so that we see how robust the application is, and it worked for those particular submissions, and it means, and then come 2027. 28 window, we are going full-blown into the application, but it's working fine, but it's just that the timing, of course, of what we've done. And that to us is a step in a very right direction, because we know the challenges that we had in the past, and CE spoke about the low number in terms of submission of WSR. We know that one component of that would have been a technology that was not really conforming to some of our beneficiaries. So we are removing that as part of the burdens, and we hope that our stakeholders will start to interact with the state-of-the-art application. Then they start now coming back and submit as expected beginning of the year. What are we doing in this particular year? We are looking now at releasing the DG automated module, which already has been completed as part of our collaboration with the MICT SETA and other SETAs as part of the arrangement of integration. We are doing testings on that. We hope that by the time we open the windows, we should be then in a position where we are rolling out that particular applications. It's good because that one we never had any electronic system that we used for that particular function. It will be the first time we use an electronic system, and which really give us challenges, opportunities, to perform better, to look at issues of data integrity and the user experience from our beneficiaries, and also the quicker time we respond from adjudication and all the processes that we explained in the previous slide. So that's just a look and feel of how the applications look like. But of course, we do hold a capacity building on a weekly basis when we do when there's a window, like WSP ATR. From the time we open the window up to the end, every week we are available to our stakeholders, so that whatever problems that you have, we are able to assist you. Similar to the DG, it will be the similar approach that we have to hold your hands. It's a new application, so of course we have to be then available to assist you in that particular transition. Why is it important? We did indicate that we want to improve system performance from the previous one on WSP ATR. This one is a manual DG. We're moving from manual now to adopt electronic systems. And the beauty about this technology that we are using, it's AI ready already. So now we are able then to build insights and do forecasting on the data that we have, and to start to learn what the data tells us, because already we can use Power Apps and any other AI ready applications on that particular one. Then 2024 we released an app, and we keep on encouraging our stakeholders to interact with this particular app. It's called FASSET Atang Legacy app. It is really a gateway to a multiplying legacy. The app as it is now, you are able to interact with it. Our talented learners can engage with it, our employers, our training providers, because that's where then you see opportunities that are available at FASSET. We get information to learn what is required by our beneficiaries, and then we are able to respond to such. So we encourage our learners, we encourage our beneficiaries as well to download the app, interact with it. It's available on App Store and also Google Play, so you can find that app. And this is a foundation for us, because we're trying to be available to our stakeholders in the quickest way possible that is used. I mean, we all carry phones. We use a lot of apps and so on, so we want to be available in a very meaningful way where we can interact with our stakeholders. Now, as I spoke about WSP ATR, I spoke about a DG module that is AI-ready kind of a module. So what we'll do as we continue to mine data for these particular applications, then the front end of this app will be able you will be able to interact with it, so that the data or the status or whatever applications that you do with FASSET, you are able to get them from the app directly. So that's one of the future plans that we have as we collect data using this new application. And thank you, Program Director.
Thank you so much, CIO, for that. I think it reflects that FASSET is not being left behind. We are moving with the times and ensuring that all of this is done with our stakeholders in mind. So now we've gotten to the part of the program where I think we will be getting a lot of the engagement. So far, we only have, I think, about 2 questions and a couple of comments. So I will read the comments, because most are recommendation based, and then I will also then go into the questions themselves, and if any of the members that are here with me today can indicate who will respond to that question. For those that are mic'd, please do answer the question from your chair, and then those that are not mic'd will have to come to the podium. So the first one, which is a recommendation, it comes from Letty. Thank you, Letty, for that one. It says, can you please avail assistance as well as help in the rural communities, especially on financial services, as they require that skill? So that is the first one. And I don't know if we want to comment, respond. I do know that rural activity is definitely one of our priorities. Okay. Can move on. Okay. Thank you once again, Letty, for that. And then the next one, is also a request, which is coming from Mrs. Matlakala. She is coming from Yusuf, and she's just stating that she has not received an MOU or MOA. So she would just like to inquire in relation to that. So she has left her email address, and we will then be getting in touch to ensure that whatever inquiries or clarities you seek, those are resolved urgently. And then the next question is coming from Lauren. This is a TIG question, just asking if we will be offering the TIG this year. The answer is definitely yes. I don't know if there is anyone that wants to add to that, but I believe yes is the perfect and final answer. So I hope that brings you joy. And then the next one is in relation to entrepreneurship programs. So that question is coming from Mapiwa, and it says, what sort of programs will be implemented under entrepreneurship, since most of the support has always been directed to large entities? Colleagues? Okay. Famaroti will respond to the question.
Is it a morning? Still a morning?
Afternoon.
Afternoon. Okay. Thank you so much for the question in relation to the entrepreneurship. So at FASSET, we have actually been implementing the program in 3 ways. The first one was in relation to the small businesses, where we are assisting the small businesses that are submitting their WSPs to assist in terms of implementation of their work skills plan. Reason being is that when we looked at the revenue collected from this particular category, you realize that the maximum that they will contribute is around 4,000, which is really not adequate to actually cover the interventions that you see on their work skills plan. That's one area. The other area is in relation to there's a target called 3.1, which speaks about entrepreneurs assisted as well as cooperatives. So in that particular indicator, we have really been focusing on the rural areas in relation to that particular indicator. This is in relation to informal businesses that would have already been established. Some they would have formally been established, but just to accelerate in relation to ensuring that some of the gaps that have been identified that have a negative impact in relation to the growth of that particular businesses are actually are dealt with. That's the other area. The other area is in relation to where this one we're focusing only on females, which is we were training in relation to the business, mainly businesses within the FASSET sector. This was mainly on the coaching and mentorship component. So we have also been doing that very well. And also over and above that, in terms of the allocation of our grants, we really have been concentrating on focusing more on the SMMEs rather than the big businesses. I hope my response is sufficient. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mamaroti. I hope, Mapiwa, you are satisfied with the response, but obviously the FASSET office is always open for further engagement should you have further inquiries or further recommendations that you would like to make. So we do have more questions, and all of them are also coming once again from Mapiwa. Thank you so much, Mapiwa, for your participation online. So the first question, I will read them all, and then we will decide on how those will be responded to. So the first question is, what percentage of discretionary grants currently go to small and medium audit firms versus large firms? The second one is, what specific targets exist for supporting Black-owned and emerging audit firms by 2030? The third one, can FASSET, or rather this is a recommendation, but we can respond to it as well. It says, can FASSET simplify application requirements for emerging audit firms? And lastly, how will FASSET help small firms adopt audit technology, ISQM implementation, as well as AI tools? So we do have those 4 questions. Would you like me to repeat them? Okay. So the first one, once again, was what percentage of discretionary grants currently go to small and medium audit firms versus large firms? Second question, what specific targets exist for supporting Black-owned and emerging audit firms by 2030? And the next one was more of a recommendation, as I mentioned, which states, can FASSET simplify application requirements for emerging audit firms? And then the last one, how will FASSET help small firms adopt audit technology, ISQM implementation, and AI tools? So we'll start with the first question, which relates to discretionary grants. So that will be answered by our CEO, Ms. Sainda Mafulega.
Okay. Thank you so much, Program Director, and thank you so much, Mapio, for your insightful questions. So the first 2 questions, that the current slice, or how are we cutting and allocating the pie between small and medium and large, vis-a-vis large firms. I just want to start from here, that our sector, the majority of the employers in our sector is small and medium, right? And we are very cognizant of the fact that they make up the biggest chunk. But however, when it comes to the participation of small and medium firms, into our programs and the allocation of, the discretionary grant, for the past 5 years, we have been seeing a slight increase, in the participation. Yes, the biggest slice still goes to, to the big firms, in a form of LEGs, program that is the Learner Employment Grant or Employed Grant, such that that is a concern for us. It's not only on the DG, even on the mandatory grant in terms of submission of the WSP. But coming back to the DG grant, discretionary grant, we are intentional in transforming the sector such that I think 3 years ago, if it's not 4 years ago, we had to specifically have a target that we have put, as in our APP, that says we want to capture and see how many small businesses, benefit from the DG. So we're saying each year we are going to start with 700. We're going to target 700, small businesses. That will want them to participate in our, DG. And that has been a very difficult, indicator or target to meet. Yes, it is still, the DG allocation, it is still with the large. So it starts with our stakeholders, as well, through WSP. And we've even been, crisscrossing the country and also making this, our awareness to say, even if you are not a levy payer, please register with us, as a non-levy payer, so that, you can participate. So in this 26-27, we've been able to capture about 350 of the SMMEs, where they've benefited, through our DG. But this is still, it's like a stone in the ocean, really. So not only that, what then we are looking into for the next 4 years, 5 years, is to then implement programs, especially on the LEG, where we, as much as we'll open the window, but the priority is given to the small and medium businesses. Unfortunately, we find that large firms, they are participating because they bring in, a large number of learners, or who are doing learnerships, as well. So really, we do want to make sure that in the next 5 years, we increase the intake from the 350, 700 to even more. Than we want to at least to come to a point where there is at least 50-50, split on the discretionary grant. Then there was a question on simplifying the application
forms. Yes.
I mean, Mapiwa, we welcome that recommendation. I like to believe that that is what we have been trying, for the past 5 years, where, the application form for FASSET used to be a 5-page or 5 pages. Now it's mostly, the maximum that you can get is just 2 pages.
Yes.
But you can always refine that. And we are rolling out also the the ILMS. We will be getting into the DG module, which really will also assist us with efficiencies and making sure that even the DG applications, they are done instantly, real time. We are able to monitor them because currently we are using emails,
yes.
And we do want to make sure that we keep proper information and database, so that when you have submitted your information or your application, you don't have to resubmit every year, so we are able to pick up your information, and you can even track the progress of your the progress of your application. There was a last question that was asked around the remind me about the
help FASSET to help
how
Small
FASSET will
firms
help.
Small
adopt
businesses.
technology, ISQM implementation, and AI tools.
Okay, great. I mean, we do have programs like lifelong learning, and as you are aware, and I mean, as you have seen, most of the emerging, skills that are needed by the sector, they center around digital or digitization or digital skills. So we will look into different intervention or different vehicles in delivering these skills. Could be through lifelong learning, with partnering with our professional bodies and relevant stakeholders that will drive and deliver these skills interventions. And we do have a specific a skills program that looks into digital digital skills are there. And we look to partner with major ICT fintech organizations within our sector to assist us as well. Hence, we will be focusing on strengthening the partnership and relationship with our employers, so that they can open their doors and host and expose learners as well, and not only that, and also assist us in driving the skills development interventions that are much needed by the sector.
Okay, thank you so much,
Thank you so much.
CEO, for that response. And I think it also had a call to action, Mapiwa. So we truly hope that that response was satisfying, and also that the call to action definitely will ensure that you are able to see the change in the near future. So there are more questions. Well, one is a question, and the next is also a comment, which comes from Harriet. So Harriet, the first question says, during the previous discretionary grant funding window, applicants were required to submit reference letters as part of the evaluation process. How should SMEs and first-time applicants position themselves, particularly for internship funding opportunities, if they have never previously implemented funding programs and therefore do not have reference letters? Does this requirement not unintentionally, or rather, does this requirement not unintentionally disadvantage or exclude capable emerging SMEs from accessing funding opportunities? It's a very long-winded question. I believe we should answer it before I share the recommendation. Ms. Matibe?
All right. Thank you so much for the question. In relation to the reference letters, when you look at the application form, on the first page, we normally request that the applicant actually indicate whether this is their first time application or is it a second time application. And those particular assessments take into account the areas to say, are you a first applicant or not? So in relation to the first time applicants, yes, we actually take into account, we don't necessarily take into account the reference letters. Hence, most of the time when we do our due diligence, we really focus on the first time applicant, noting that there's a element of experience that we do not have with the first time applicants. So it does not, to a certain extent, actually disadvantage you on the basis that we do actually make provision for such applicants from our side. I hope that helps as well. Thank you so much.
And finally, we will then speak to the recommendation that has been made. And this will be our final question as we close out. But once again, before we close out, I just want to mention that this is not the end of the engagement. We are still available for any questions. You can email us. Any of the colleagues that have presented today will definitely be available to assist you with closing any of the gaps that you may have identified during the presentation. So this comes once again from Harriet. The recommendation says, we kindly request that FASSET reconsider providing detailed feedback to organizations whose discretionary grant or internship funding applications are unsuccessful. They do share that over the past 3 years, they have consistently applied for intern funding opportunities. However, they did not receive allocations nor constructive feedback on the areas requiring improvement. They also share that as an organization, they have the necessary capacity, infrastructure, systems, and skills to successfully host and develop young professionals through meaningful workplace exposure. So receiving this feedback would greatly assist the emerging organizations like theirs to better understand the evaluation outcomes, strengthen future applications, as well as continue their contribution towards youth skills development and employment creation. So that is a recommendation taken very seriously, and you are more than welcome to once again engage with our PMs so that you're able to then get the necessary assistance during the application process to make sure that you do align with the requirements of the application. So
can I add on that?
Okay, sure.
Sorry.
So our PM, Mr. Kuligani Koza, will just add a note in relation to the recommendation shared.
Thank you, Program Director. I think also we have assisted those companies that are unsuccessful to pair them with the ones that usually get bigger numbers. Whenever they are short of the numbers, that how then they can be capacitated to be assisted in getting, the exposure and experience. Because some of them, they are even new in the PSET system as well. So we do assist that in Harriet. Please do contact us. We will then group you with some of the well-experienced entities so that it can assist you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Koza. And everyone's email here is their name.surname@fasset.org.za. So if you wish to engage Mr. Koza, I'm putting him on the line right now to make sure that, Harriet, you find joy at the end of this. Please email him at kulegani.koza@fasset.org.za. And this will just ensure that by the end of the financial year, you've participated and you've made a lasting impact as well. So to close, I want to thank our presenters today for being able to come on board and ensure that we prioritize the FASSET stakeholder. I will be inviting the CEO to share a closing note and to reiterate some of those call to actions to our stakeholders that are joining us online. So CEO, if you can please join me on the podium, the virtual podium, so that we can just reiterate some of the points made today.
Okay. Thank you so much, Program Director. You deserve the round of applause for steering the engagement so excellently. First and foremost, let me thank the team that have made avail themselves to be here to engage with our stakeholders. It's not always easy to engage with people that are not in front of you. Where you can't even see their facial expressions and so forth. But be that as it may, thank you so much for taking time, out of your busy schedule and just have, this engagement, with us. I want to reiterate that as FASSET, we are committed into serving our sector, the FASSET sector. We are steadfast and intentional in transforming the sector. The questions that were asked, mostly by Ms. Mapiwa, they boil down on, they touch the core of transforming, the sector. Transforming the sector, it's just not only that speaks to race or gender, it also speaks to access. I must say that, more than 5 years ago, our stakeholder and our participating, employers and stakeholders, they were not as dynamic and, demographically representative as we see now, but still a lot needs to be, made. We want to open our nets for emerging auditing and accounting firms and consulting companies that are falling within our sector. So we are available at any given point. I will ask that they also post my email address, speak to the CEO at fasset.org.za. I promise that I will be responsive and attend to your queries. Indeed, we will be opening the funding windows, and I want to assure and emphasize that because we want to capture and get as many stakeholders and employers in our sector. So we are not really going to be unfairly prejudice any employers because that you are the first time participant at FASSET. That is not our criteria. But I must also state this, that all our allocations also will be based also on the availability of the budget. We take note of the recommendation, that our stakeholders, they will need constructive feedback after all our, after we've done our evaluation processes. I must say that last year, 25-26 financial year was a bit of an unprecedented year where we didn't have the board for the longest time, and still there were processes to get the CEO as well. But now we are getting back to our rhythm, and we'll definitely, be sending out, feedback, from our evaluation processes. With that, thank you so much. We are who we are as FASSET because of our stakeholders. FASSET will not exist if the sector and our stakeholders that we serve. So really, we are here because of the sector, and we remain committed in serving the sector to the best of our ability. Thank you so much. May you have a blessed day further. Ngiyabonga.
Okay, thank you so much, CEO. I don't think I need to add any parting words to that, other than just thanking once again the participants in the presentations as well as our stakeholders for joining us today. The conversations do not end here. As I mentioned earlier, the blueprints are drawn in moments like this one, in virtual rooms as well as physical rooms like this one, by people like us. And we look forward to walking this path with you. Please be reminded to ensure that at the end of the session, when we do share the survey, you are able to respond so that you are able to give us some recommendations on what we can improve on for our CEO roadshows and what you actually did enjoy. So thank you once again and have a blessed day. Thank you.